This is another episode of Standup Comedy, your host and MC, celebrating 40-plus years on the fringe of show business. Stories, interviews, and comedy sets from the famous and not so famous. Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. We have a special audience of one show for you, and boy, what a treat. This gentleman toured with Frank Sinatra for over a decade. He's got 52 years in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Dreesen.
Thank you for that introduction.
Hey, Tom, it's so nice to have you back on the show. You know, you're originally from Chicago, right? Probably a big Cubs fan?
Yeah, born and raised on the south side of Chicago, a suburb called Harvey, Illinois, which was White Sox territory, but I was raised a Cub fan, from my dad.
Well, you've probably been to Wrigley Field then a few times.
Oh, more. Every year I sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I throw out the first pitch. Probably one of my greatest adventures there was the first time I ever went to Wrigley Field. I was an altar boy, and the nuns took us down to Wrigley Field for being altar boys. And the nuns in those days wore the habits, and there were two guys sitting behind the nuns, and they couldn't see the game over the nuns' habits. So one guy said to the other guy loud enough so the nuns could hear him. He said, "I'm going to go to Texas. Only 5% of the population there is Catholic." And the other guy said, "Yeah, I'm going to go to Oklahoma. Only 10% of the population there is Catholic." And one of the nuns turned around and she said, "Why don't you go to hell? There are no Catholics down there."
Well, that nun certainly knew how to address those guys. in the middle of Wrigley Field, no less.
Yeah, it was one of the great moments.
Tom, you have been the entertainer for over 5 presidents in your long career. That must have been pretty special. Did you have a favorite president that you entertained for?
Well, yeah, I performed for President Reagan, President Ford. I performed for the President Clinton and both Bushes. I liked them all. I really did. Bill Clinton had a great sense of humor, and I had some fun with him. But Ronald Reagan, I loved because he always told funny stories every time you were around him. One of his favorite stories that he's known for, he said that during World War II, there was an Irishman there was an Irishman who hated the English so bad, that he swore that he was going to spy for the Germans. He would spy for the Germans. His name is Murphy. Well, the Germans, hearing this, they got one of their guys to fly into Ireland, parachute in Ireland at nighttime. He hid in the forest and dress in the peasant's clothing and find this man Murphy that's willing to spy for the Germans because he hated the English. And when you found him, the code word is the moon is full and the stars are bright. So this German parachutes in Ireland at nighttime. He hides in the forest. He changes in the peasant's clothing. He gets up in the morning and he's walking to the village and he sees a farmer. And the German said, "In the top of the morning to you." And the farmer said, "In the top of the morning to you, too." And the German said, "I'm looking for a man named Murphy." And the farmer said, "My God, man, half the men in this village are named Murphy. We got Murphy the butcher, Murphy the baker, we got Murphy the bartender." He said, "My name is Murphy. I'm a farmer." And the German said, "Your name is Murphy?" And he said, "Yes." And the German looked all around and he said, "The moon is full and the stars are bright." He said, "You're looking for Murphy the spy. He lives over on Main Street."
That's a Ronald Reagan joke, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
to tell.
Funny story. Well, Tom, thanks so much for sharing that with us.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand-Up Comedy, your host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.